Hey guys, Archangel Manga here, and I have just finished reading the first volume of Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic. I bought this a while ago, but it's been on my backlog of things to read for the longest of time because I've just been held back and I've been concentrating on more, series that I've, got that are longer, like Vagabond up there. I've been reading that because I've got more volumes of that, and because this was just a standalone volume that I owned, I thought, I'll drop the back burner and read it, when I get around to it. But just last night, I blasted through it, and it was actually a lot better than I expected. I expected it just to be very cliche, very overly shonen-esque, and just something that would be average at best. But I found myself like literally laughing out loud at some of the comedy in this. It was really, really, really funny and very, very, very enjoyable. Basically, Magi the Labyrinth of Magic centers around protagonist who is Aladdin, and Aladdin lives in a world which is kind of like a fantasy version of ancient Persia, that kind of thing. You got like flying carpets, genies in the bottle, all that kind of Persian-esque sort of stuff. And Aladdin and his magical friend Ugo, you can see that little flute there. His friend Ugo is basically a genie. And they're basically on a quest that they're wanting to. They're just like explorers. There's certain things in the world called dungeons, where like 14 years ago to like the present timeline, these random like castles emerged up from the ground. These random dungeons emerged up from the ground, and they were open to like people exploring them. But the amount of people who've gone in, like 10,000 people to go into one dungeon and like never come back out. They're very, very, very dangerous, and it's very rare that somebody actually clears them. But they're full of vast riches, wealth, magic items, and yeah, it's basically a fun little adventure story. But the story aside, I mean, I really think the idea and everything, the whole concepts that it deals with, like, it's very, very interesting. But the comedy in this is just so, so, so funny. And one thing that I find very interesting as well, because it's a shonen, it's published in Shonen Sunday. There are elements of fan service in it, but the fan service in this is used very well. In fact, a fellow YouTube reviewer, Immortalium, recently did a discussion discussing the role of fan service in anime, and anime manga, and the fan service in this, it's muted in a sense. It's there, but it's used to complement the comedy and the story. It's not just totally in your face, boobs jiggling everywhere. It's not that kind of fan service. It's used to hilarious effect. So yeah, Immortalium, this is definitely an example of fan service used correctly. I will put a link to Immortalium's fan service discussion video in the description below, so you can check it out for yourself because it's a very interesting discussion. But all in all, I found this series to be very funny. I've got very high hopes for this. I believe Volume 2 will be coming out next month. I think November. So I'm highly anticipating reading more of this series, and I have high hopes for it. But yeah, we have Aladdin, then we have his friend Alibaba, who dreams of becoming like super rich, because he's basically just like he's not a merchant. He's got like a little caravan where he like basically takes people from one place to the next. He's poor, and he's got illusions of grandeur. He wants to be rich and all powerful. He wants to be a king and everything. And from seeing that Aladdin has this magical flute with a genie in it, he sees Aladdin as a potential, powerful comrade, and decides to take him on board. So yeah, they partner up, and there's so much packed into this one volume. And like, I don't want to give away too much of the story, too much of the of what's going on, because I highly recommend you reading this. I know there's quite a few people who read this already. It's got quite a big following. It could potentially become one of the big popular series after perhaps like Bleach or Naruto finishes. Who knows? I definitely think it's got the potential. So far in Japan, there's been 18 volumes released, so I reckon if there's enough people on board, like stateside and UK side, who are wanting to check this out, then I reckon the volumes will be released relatively quickly. You know, maybe like one a month, perhaps. Because you know it's up to like nearly 200 chapters. I think it's like 196 chapters that have been released so far, and this volume only I think has about 8 chapters in. No, 7 chapters. So there's a lot of material that's to be released, and Shinobu Utaka, the female mangaka who's done this, you know, she's got her own little bits of commentary in between chapters here and there, and you know it's just very 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 interesting to read. So yeah, Magi, Labyrinth of Magic, something that I'm very very excited for. I'm just going to read it as and when it's released. You know, hopefully they'll do like a speed up catch up sort of thing. You know, if it's got that much, you know, if it gets that much attention. So yeah, very excited about the series. Tell me what you guys think if you've read Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. Do you think it has the potential to stand up to, you know, the really big popular series shonen wise that are out there today? You know, anybody who dislikes this series, you know, let me know what you think. But please, no spoilers for anybody who's read further into the series. Like I have only literally just read volume 1, and I'm just going to be reading them as they're released. So yeah, tell me what you guys think, and yeah, let's discuss it down in the comment section. See you later.